Welcome back to the Fit Minute Podcast, where we talk all things health, fitness, and lifestyle. I hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Fit Minute Podcast. I'm your host, Gabby Mazar, and on today's episode, I have Dr. Emma Wagner. She is the Body Whisperer. She is a distinguished chiropractor with 2 decades of experience and advocates for a healthy, active lifestyle through a holistic approach. She also wrote a book called Shattering Habits, the 7 principles to reprogram your mind. Welcome to the show today.
Thank you, Gabby. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the show.
To feel better in life.
Yeah, great.
Excellent.
So tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, and kind of what brought you in the direction from being a chiropractor to integrating other aspects of health into your program.
So like you said, I'm a chiropractor. I've been a chiropractor for over 24 years. And before that, I was an energy healer. That's what got me into chiropractic school. My dad is a medical doctor, so I've been surrounded by medicine my whole life. And when it was my turn to find my path, I was very interested in helping and serving people. And so it was natural that I became a doctor. And the holistic mindset really came naturally to me. It was from a very young age. My mom, when I was, I think, 10, met a homeopathic doctor and started taking care of us with more natural remedies, getting us away from that medical system that my dad was into. And when it was my turn to start taking care of my patient, it made a lot of sense to stay in that natural aspect, to encourage the body in functioning better rather than patching and giving medication that can have side effects and don't necessarily fix the problem, but covers it. So I really like looking at the system. I find the system very intelligent, very smart. And when we are able to give it what it needs, the body does wonders. And I've been having that experience for myself at a young age. And that's why I decided to practice that with my patient. And in 24 years, I've seen miracles many, many times, people getting better so fast, encouraging that body to function better. So with exercise, with proper nutrition, with recommendation, with positive thinking, so that we can round up that whole system to work together better.
Yeah, the body has a wonderful ability to heal itself. And if we actually nurture it and love it and treat it the way it wants to be treated, we can actually create such a great system within our body. So giving it everything it needs and nurturing it, not just physically or not through just medication, but actually through diet, exercise, mental, giving us the mental treatment that we need to better ourselves all over, mind, body, soul, is
Exactly
what we need, right?
It's what we need. And it's true that we live in a world where it makes so much sense to us because we've been in this model for myself for over 30 years that it makes so much sense that this should be the natural way. But when I look around and when I start talking to patients that have not had a lot of experience with what I do with a holistic care, they find themselves like, oh, but it's very different than the medical system. It's like what you're not looking at. Like I have a patient coming for headaches and I'm like, okay, so your headaches is coming from your digestive system, from your stomach. And your headaches is not because you need more painkillers. Your system is just telling you that your digestive system is not working the way it needs to work. And so I have that ability to read the system, to scan you, to understand what's going on, and to be able to read what the symptoms that your body is telling you. We live in a world where we have not been taught that our body is so intelligent, and that it really is your best partner in life and wants to give you signal to tell you what's going on, to get help from the conscious mind. But the conscious mind lives in that cultural weirdness that is more against the nature and wants you to do something like others, like the food we have access to is not very, very good.
Hmm.
Like I was watching a little bit of Facebook this morning, and a young guy was saying, "Why are we? Do we have to think that to have a good time in life, we have to get drunk every Saturday night when it's not healthy and it's not feel good, and then our liver is having a problem, and then we feel like crap in the morning, and we cannot perform all week long for work." And so it was a cute video from that young man, and just what we're taught culturally is very different than what our body needs. And when we start looking into what really our body needs and we're really giving it that to the body is just so magical and just loves it so much that there's so much reward for each individual doing it.
Yeah, well, I think, when we think of modern medicine, it's such a shift from historically how they treated the body. They treated the body with technically medicine, but it wasn't, they were treating things kind of more from the mindset of spiritually, I guess, with acupuncture and meditation and kind of different those different methods, rather than now what we see with modern medicine, which is so new, that I think
Mhm.
we kind of lost that idea that we have to treat the cause, not the symptom. So
Exactly.
really a lot of what we do now is we're treating the symptoms of whatever you have. Unfortunately, what happens is so many of the diseases we have or the illnesses we have similar symptoms. So if you're covering up one thing, you might be covering up whatever is the cause of what's happening. I know for
Exactly.
myself with my thyroid, with Hashimoto's, having hair loss, having depression, having weight gain, those things is just like, oh, well, you're getting older. Oh, well, depression is normal. No, it's not. It's not. Those things are not normal. It's not a normal thing to feel bad, to be
It's not a
tired, to
normal
be
to feel bad.
right.
Mhm.
And I think we've
I
we've
find it
just
very interesting that very a lot of women. Sorry, I just
no, go
interrupted you.
ahead. Go ahead.
I find it very interesting that women don't necessarily pay attention to those symptoms, like their fatigue, their loss of hair, even sexuality, not feeling good in having sex with your partner. All that are very like little signs that something is off with your system and that your body is not working properly. And women are very poorly diagnosed. We don't have a lot of medical system that is really designed for the woman, for understanding how the woman function, for understanding what the woman need. A lot of the medical system is geared toward men. And so it's not that they don't have the tools, it's that first, I think the woman don't like to complain or don't like to come to the doctor and say, oh, I have fatigue again and I have fatigue again. And just giving a pill and generally the first steps is antidepressant,
Yeah.
which doesn't help with the fatigue, which doesn't help with the thyroid health, which doesn't help with the hair loss. And we're going to the doctor and we're not feeling like we're being helped. So what I offer is really a different kind of system where we're really looking at what makes you happy, what makes you alive, and how can we make you more alive so that your body can start functioning better, so that you don't have those symptoms anymore.
Yeah.
So it's really reversing the way the culture today is looking at health.
Yeah, and I think it is getting better where we're recognizing that women have not been studied as much, where we're not speaking out. We don't speak out because we put up with a lot more. I mean, I
We put
think
up with a
women
lot more.
have a much higher pain tolerance. We think that these things are normal when they're not. And, men dominated the healthcare industry as doctors, and their men are the ones that were studied, and they thought that, well, it's the same. Men and women were biologically the same, but we aren't. So we do react differently to specific drugs, and it is getting better, but we have a long way to
It is
go.
getting better.
We have a long way to go, and I think it is
Exactly.
unfortunate that is, I mean, how many, a couple hundred years here we are with modern medicine, and we're still trying to say, screaming out loud like, hey, this isn't normal. I shouldn't feel this way. And you shouldn't have to sit there and tell your doctor this is not okay. I shouldn't feel this way when they're telling you, well, all
I
your
agree
labs
with
are normal. Everything is
you.
fine. Everything is fine. And you're telling them it's not fine. Oh, well, you're
It's
just,
just your aging. It's your aging.
if I
I
hear
can
that
give
one
you an
more time,
antidepressant because you're aging and you're not
and
feeling good because you're aging.
And it's unfortunate too that even female doctors, even women doctors say that too. I think we're so programmed to say, oh, you're just getting older. Oh, it's just, but I have a hard time. I know there is so much that is determined by genetics. That is fact.
Mhm.
But there is a lot that you can do to help slow the progression or to help curb whatever genetic predisposition you have.
We're going to age, but if you look around, you're going to see that and we're women, and we're women in menopause,
Hmm.
and are close to menopause, and so we can look around and see that some women age better than others.
Hmm.
And for me, it's what can I do to age better, to have a good, and I'm getting to my 50s, so I'm starting to really think about what is the next stage of my life is looking. And for me, it's really important to start planning ahead. And that's what holistic medicine is a little bit looking ahead and not just focusing on the present, but how do I want to create the next 10 years of my life? And I know that to age well in the next 10 years, that's going to be during my menopause. I need to manage my stress better. I need to exercise better so that I have good muscles to get started into menopause. I need to make sure I have plenty of water. And maybe my water is my weakness. And it's the one thing that is really hard for me to do. Um, we're going to be empty nesters. It's also a time that our need as moms are different than what it had been when the kids were younger. And so we're starting to become empty nester. Maybe our kids are going to college. And it's a place where our heart is a little bit weak because we don't know what our place is.
Hmm.
So emotionally, we're weak. And I don't like it saying it like this, but so if we don't have purpose in life, and our purpose for a long time had been our kids, we're going to lose ourselves into that aging time. And we're not going to have motivation to take care of ourselves. And the less we take care of ourselves, the less we are good.
Right. And it's not
So
even
for
just,
me, looking at how we age in a holistic mindset is very important.
it's not even just into menopause, it's into and after menopause, because through menopause and after, you really start to lose muscle, you really start to decline, and how you prepare. Sorry, my dog just came hopped into my lap. You
So
really
cute.
say hi, Remy.
Hi, Remy.
If he's out there, he starts barking at everything. So you really start to decline. So you have to prepare for that. You have to have a stable and strong base and create those habits going into your 60s, going into your
Exactly.
70s. Because once you hit 70 plus, you really start to see that rapid loss. And
Exactly.
it just is. And as much as you try to maintain that, you have to have that strong base and those strong habits going into that to prevent falls, to have better balance, and to be able to have just a better quality of life going into older age. So
Exactly.
your book Shattering Habits emphasizes breaking free from your self-limiting habits. Can you share these habits and how they impact our health and fitness goals?
So my book is more designed to look at how do you create habits and how do you, so it's really letting go of bad habits is really creating new ones and creating new ones that make sense for you, that are soul centered, that are really what you're looking at creating and really be intentional in life. I think I'm impressed with younger generation because they're, I I see my kids, my son is 22, he has a girlfriend, and I'm talking to them and I'm like, I don't want to be a grandma yet. And and they're like, no, 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 we're not ready. And I find that the new generation understand that planning part and understand that if you start planning ahead, and I see him putting money away, I see him thinking about retirement, I see him thinking about when do they want to have kids, and it's not right now. I see a lot of that young generation being really a good planner when I don't find my generation be, that we had good planning skills. And so we move through life, and I felt like I moved through life in a very disorganized way. And now I'm finding myself being like, okay, I need to organize myself. I need to be prepared, and I need to start looking at better habits for myself. But how do I decide what's a good habit for me? And is it, what do I want to create? And for me, the first step in creating good habits is, what do you want to create? What's your motivation? Where do you want to go? And not everybody listening to us today is probably at the same place. Some might be starting a family, some might be in menopause, some might be looking at being aging and wanting to be uh, more dynamic, still traveling as they age and not falling and breaking a leg.
Yeah.
So it's really about what's your motivation. And when you have that motivation about what is it that you really want in life, and maybe it's about losing weight, what is it that you want to create? And from there, what is it that you're going to have to put in place? And habits are very easy to start creating. You can get up in the morning and be like, okay, I'm going to start working out. And boom, you start working out. And that becomes your new habit. But to decide that you're going to start working out every morning is the why, is the most important step. Why do you want to start drinking more water? Why are you going to change your eating habit?
I think you're
Because
I
what you're
think you're
doing when you're on autopilot is too easy.
yeah. I think you're really right about this younger generation. Because I see with my generation, we had 9/11, we had the crash in 2008, and on, and kind of we grew up in that, and the kids of that generation kind of grew up in that. And
Mhm.
I think they're seeing maybe the struggle of their parents and what they went through and what they saw. And they're seeing, their parents say, prepare and wait and don't, wait to get married, wait to have kids. And my generation didn't get married as young, but still got married kind of young, 20s, still mid 20s, but now they're waiting even later and waiting until they have a home and waiting till, their early 30s to say like we're ready to do this. Where I think, they want to say if they want to explore the world, they want to do all the things before they make this commitment and this decision. And they are focusing more on the habits for their life, their health, I do see such a huge difference in the younger, Zennials, I guess they are, the, 20 to 30s, how they're so active, they're so focused on health, they're focused on, you know, the earth and just being healthy and creating a healthy lifestyle and eating
And
organic
taking
and just
and taking care of the planet.
and taking care of the
Seem like they
planet.
have more of a global mindset, of that holistic mindset. They kind of
Yes,
already understand that to be well in life, you're going to have to take care of your planet,
right.
recycle, because you live within your you live with your husband, and you need to have a good relationship. Need to have a good partner. And I find women 20, like you said, 20 to 30, being very like smart about how to pick a man, and really like
Yeah.
have a list and write red flags, and they know what they're looking for, and a guy is not going to pass by their checklist.
And even
And, and
being more open to therapy, being more open to working on the relationship and
on
working on
themselves,
yourself.
on coaching, on doing retreats, on exploring the world, on getting to know you before you get into a relationship. I find that my generation didn't get that chance of getting to know yourself, the world, and your partner before jumping into an adventure together.
Yeah.
And so for me, that intention is something to commend. It's something to learn from. I feel like I don't want to be too much of a planner, and I don't want to be, the adventure part is important also. But I think some things needs to be planned, and aging needs to be planned, and especially if you want to age well.
Yeah, and you can even, I mean, I love when they do like the side by sides of, like Paul Rudd with someone that was his age from, you know, 50 years ago. And it's like, how are these two people both 50? Because we are seeing people take so much better care of themselves. And I think it is because we do have a why. We do have that why. We do want to live better lives. We do want to live healthier. We do want to live longer. And we are living longer. We know that. So we want to know that in our 70s, 80s, even 90s, because how many people are living into their 90s, even 100 years old? My mom's birth mother just turned 103 years old. And it's like, she's up and walking around and
My
doing things
grandmother
at
is just
100 and
turned 100 this year.
I mean it's amazing. It's amazing that she was the one in her.
I know there's longevity in my family. It's like, how
Yeah,
do I want to age? Do I want to age and be in the bed and being handicapped and losing my mind and not recognizing my kids? Or do I want to age being active, staying on the bike, traveling, having a good life, having fun with my grandkids, my great grandkids? Definitely. They, and those choices are choices you make now. They're not choices you make when you're 100 years old.
right. Definitely. So how can people break
So
old habits
it's that
and
intentionality.
yeah, okay. So you have to have intention. How can people break their old habits and create new habits and
So
apply?
first is so first is identifying those habits that are really hurting you.
Okay.
So I have some patients, it's jaw clenching at night. And they're like, I really know that this jaw clenching and me damaging my teeth, and my dentist is talking to me about it, is really damaging my teeth. And putting the night guard is a solution, but I still grind my teeth. How do I change that habit about grinding my teeth? So the first step is really identifying what that habit is that you want to do. And some people, maybe it's smoking. Some people, maybe it's drinking. But there's so many smaller habits that are not healthy. It might be eating for emotional well-being. It might be um, after work, laying down on the couch because we're tired and watching TV all night long because we're too tired to get up. The youth, I find the youth, it's a lot of video games and spending so much time on video games. So first is identifying what is the habit you want to change. So let's say it's that video game playing. Okay. Why is it that you want to change it? Why is it bothering you? What are you not doing that you want to do instead of that? And find the hurt, find the pain. Allow yourself to feel it. Or so maybe you're playing video games, you're not social, you don't have that many friends. That or your friends are all online and you're playing with them online, but you don't really have any connection and you're missing that going out, having a drink with your friends. So identify, feel the pain, and what do you want to do about that pain? And you can make a list of the different things you want to do about it, and then start doing it. You are the one that is in charge of your health, and maybe it's I'm going instead of playing video games, I'm going to do pottery once a week, and I'm going to sign up for a class in pottery. So I'm going to do something with my hands. I'm going to meet some people. I'm going to, and if it's not pottery, it can be surf. It can be I'm different than other people. I like simple pleasure. But everybody can have their own way of what is it that you want to do instead of doing what you're doing. What do you really want to create?
How can
And
you
allow
help
your pain to guide you into what you want to do.
how can you help people understand how to integrate that into their life without feeling overwhelmed? Because I think people are so busy, people are so stressed, and they want to come home and just sit on the couch. They want to, even if they do want to exercise, even if they do want to add these healthy habits into their lives, sometimes that, 2 hours that they come
This is a
home and they
very good
just sit.
question, and it's a very important question. Something is very interesting to me, and it's very all about the brain. The brain will be more comfortable in chaos that you know than in looking for peace and being at peace in an unknown peace. So as long as we're keeping on doing the same chaos and having the same pattern, because what is creating patterns, what is creating overwhelm is those patterns. So we're living, we're creature of habits. We're doing the same thing over and over and over. And instead of thinking about what can I do to stop those patterns, to stop that overwhelm, we're allowing ourselves to keep there because it's easier, like you said, to keep doing the same way than to reflect and to acknowledge that this is creating more chaos than anything else and that we're not feeling good. And to say, stop, think, to reflect, acknowledge that you're not feeling good. And then what can you do differently? So the first step is when if you feel overwhelmed, it's to stop and to think. And people like me can help you stop and think. Because sometimes you feel so overwhelmed that you don't know where would be the next step. And you might need help at first to find what the next step is. And people like you and me are good because we've been working with people. We have idea about what a healthier lifestyle looks like and what would be easier for you to start doing. I had a patient yesterday. She's coming in. She's overwhelmed. She moved like me from France a couple of years ago. She put on a lot of weight with the American diet, eating home food that she feels like she is eating the same thing she was eating in France. But in France, she was walking a lot. She lived in Paris. She was a lot in the subways. In the subways, you're always guarding yourself. So you're always in your physical body. You have to dodge people. So you have to be very aware. In the US, you're driving your car. So you're sitting and you're not moving and you're not conscious about your physical system. And then your mind is going along. Or you're listening and you're distracting yourself from that mind. So the first step is really to stop and think about what you're doing. And she comes to me and she's like, I'm overwhelmed. I cannot process. I really want to lose weight. I'm not exercising enough. I'm not eating the right food. I can tell you that. But our brain was the main thing going on. And the brain was not connecting the information that she was receiving and able to make a change. We made some change on our brain and she's like, I know what I need to do. I'm like, perfect. This is what I want. I do not want to tell people what they need to do. I want you to be able to know what you need to do in your own life because I'm not there in your shoes. I don't walk in your shoes. You're the best one to know, to see, to acknowledge, to be aware of what's going on that needs to be changed within yourself. And I'm just here to be a mirror to help you figure it out.
That's true. I mean, you are the one that has to figure out how and when and where to make that change because no one can tell you what you need to do or when to do it because they can tell you all day long, but you're the one that ultimately has to make that decision and make that change and make those steps.
And who likes to be told what to do?
Yeah, that's true.
I
No
want to
one
be
does.
empowered. I want to choose what I want to do for myself.
Right.
And if I do some right things, I'm happy about the right thing. And if I do some wrong things, I own them. It's my responsibility to do a few little bad things for myself. And the bad things kind of feels good too.
Yeah,
And it's finding that balance between doing a lot of good and a little bit of bad to have an interesting life.
that's true.
But I cannot tell you what the bad things you're allowed to do.
So your
It's not about
book,
being allowed. It's
yeah, so your book,
my book.
Shattering Habits, Seven Principles to Reprogram Your Mind, you can find that on Amazon.
Yes.
Okay, and that is it's all about reprogramming your mind to have a healthier, happier, better life.
And better relationship with yourself so that you can be the person you want to be. You don't have to be your worst enemy.
Perfect. Is there anything else, any other words of wisdom or any other thing that you want to tell our listeners today that you think they should know?
There's so much to know. For me, our body, what I want to come through is really that our body is magical. And there's so much, we're so much more powerful than we think we are. And tapping into that power that we have should be one of the most interesting thing everybody should do. And when you start tapping into that power, you feel so much better. You have such a better life. You're able to manifest. Things comes out of the sky to help you out. And everybody should have access to this. I think if everyone have access to this, would have such a better world. So I encourage everyone to really tap into their own wisdom, their own power to become the best version of themselves they can be.
Thank you so much. I agree. Living better, living healthier, and living the best life you can. Dr. Emma Wagner, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I will have a link
My
to,
pleasure.
thank you. Yes,
Thank you.
I'll have a link to your book in the show notes. And I really do appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you.
So, thank you everyone for listening today. If you would like to find out more about her book, I will have that link in the show notes. And we appreciate you all for listening today. We will see you all next week.